Patrick William Dodu, an art therapist, to talk about arts as the root of all development. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's been a while.
Yes, sure.
It is important that sometimes we talk. I've known you in the art space for decades, if I could say.
Exactly.
You've been doing this. I mean, you were one of the few that, this whole craze that started where you are painting people within minutes, that kind of thing. You turn the thing around and it is Jesus Christ you were painting all along. Those things that used to. Now we talk of Patrick William Dodu, and he's no more just the painter whose paintings are all over and all the stuff. Now you are into art therapy. What is art therapy?
Well, I would say, first of all, we should just understand the word therapy itself. Therapy is any situation or probably a consensus, let me say, level of strength that actually needs to distress the one that is stressed. So in a space where you know that, okay, there is a certain situation that is actually getting your mentality to actually think the unthinkable, or probably just get you to be a bit confused, if I should put it in that form, then you need something to actually calm you down, to bring you back on track, or what we might probably just say normal. Any other person that you meet and you actually, how are you? They keep saying, I'm okay.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. It has tend to be a norm. In as much as any other thing, there are situations which they are going through. But then that word alone is the biggest therapy we have in this world. How are you? I'm fine. I'm okay. So therapy in this same sense actually comes to the point for people just to understand that should there be any other means, there must be a certain means, or there is a certain way for one to be normal.
To return to normal.
In this sense, how do you tend to normal? Using different devices, using different situations. And so now we have the biggest tool that actually turns a number of people to back to normal, or to the state where they would need to actually think very, very normal, and that is art. And so art therapy, in a certain, let me say, in the same level for it, would now tend to be any situation that, or probably, let me say, the creative means to actually bring people back to normal. The
creative means to bring people back to normal. Okay, that's simple enough. Now I understand it. So now let's go into we'll come to the main discussion of the art as the root of all development. That will get there.
Exactly.
But so typically, how would you use the tool of the creative means? How give me one creative mean and how that is used to reduce people's stress or bring them back to normal.
Let's start from when we were all kids in our state of development. Very simple. Each and every person actually started with crayons, chalk, slate. To us, that actually came from the space of chalk and slate, which the ones who know exactly. And then to the state where people now embedded colors as crayons and other things also coming through. Now, these same points would actually get to let us understand that the best of development that has actually happened to each and every human has always been from that very tender age. And now, a very best tool to continue to use is either visualize, get yourself skilled by means of actually either drawing, painting, or probably listening to music, because art is very huge. It could be based on music, it could be poetry, it could be any other thing as even theater. And so by means of visualize could actually even be you watching a movie. Someone say I'm quite a bit confused, and so I'm just listening to jazz music. So though it can be music, but it depends on what music. Though it could be probably painting, it could also depend on what you are watching or what you're actually visualizing to get yourself distressed. So it could be an abstract, it could be a certain images that is just flying through. And then even when we just say images, we can also say with maybe pictures of maybe old pasts or other few things, because even people that might come in the state of maybe bereaved would like to watch images of the person or the memories that they hold. All these things also come through as such. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
never thought of it that way. One of my a very big man passed away, and as part of the occasion, I was to put together like images of his life and all that over the years.
Yes.
And so during the event, we added some music in the background, and then we started showing those slides.
Slides.
Yeah. So you're saying that thing we did, and the fact that people were now smiling, remembering some of his comments and the stuff we did, it was therapy that we're doing at the.
That's the thing.
Wow.
That's the whole thing. So the space in that same sense will actually also bring you to why we now have our phones, and then let me say about 80% of our entire day, people do visit camera, the side camera, or let me say the app camera on our phones, much more than any other apps that we get to even get to encounter ourselves with. Though we have all the social media platforms or the other, but the main thing is that you're going to a social media because someone either took a video or took, let me say, an image. So these are some of the things that are actually going through. Memories are very, very important because it brings you back to where you were or how things, because that is when you will say that now I was in this form, or let me say I was in this form, now I am to this state, going back to now make references to them.
Okay. So that is clear now.
Very
Using
clear.
the creative means to bring us back to normal. That then qualifies as art. So now we know who an art therapist is. Do people recognize themselves as such in your field?
No, not everyone. Not everyone. I might probably just even use the example as maybe into the media. We have journalists, but then we have like sports journalists, we have maybe newscasters and other few things. So in as much as we are in the media, that's not necessarily for the fact that yes, I'm in the media, so yes, I'm a journalist, and so I can actually determine myself, or probably just say that I'm a sports journalist or I'm any other. In the art field, there are lots of disciplines. And even within each discipline has got its own, let me say, criteria of things that they need to actually fund themselves in. In the times when I was actually certifying myself as an art therapist, my class we were probably, I think, 5 at the University of Education, Winneba.
There's a course?
Yeah, there are courses for it. Yeah, sure.
It is not you just decided that
No,
I'm an art therapist.
That's it.
You went to school on this?
Yes.
University of Education, Winneba.
Winneba.
The course is called what?
Art therapy. So it falls under arts education.
Amazing.
Exactly.
And you were just 5?
Just 5 around that time.
And the 5 or so of you, you were what, painters or you were musicians?
Yes. So I knew, in the school, we always do 2 aligned courses. You need to do a 2D and then a 3D. When we say a 2D, meaning a 2-dimensional course, that should be maybe painting or graphics. A 3-dimension could be jewelry work or sculpture, ceramic or any other. Anything that you can go around it, that is 3-dimension work. And so, yes, in the class, I believe we're actually 3 painters and then 2 sculptors.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
As it stands now, I know on my side that I'm still working along with it. And that's taking me very far.
Interesting. Now we'll come to development.
Yeah.
You are one of the first people I knew who used the bottles to build the tallest Christmas tree.
The very first in Ghana.
The first in Ghana, the tallest.
Sure.
There's one in front of the
Yes,
studio.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I know you see that one. You build the tallest Christmas tree ever with bottles.
Yes.
Water bottles.
Sure.
Yes. Now, let's come to the discussion for today. Arts as the root of all development. So we're going to pick certain areas in our country, sectors, and then tell me the role art is playing in that, or how art can play. Starting with that Christmas tree you did, in terms of this whole issue of sustainability.
Exactly.
How is art playing a role, or how can art play a role in ensuring sustainability, deforestation, and the environmental degradation and all that within that space? How is art playing a role?
Art has actually played a role since the birth of creation.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Well, the main thing is, as the Bible even just say that, the world was without void. And so that means that if anything is out of form, it's not even considered as art. But if we can actually put together it to be in form, then it is art. So God in his creation only created because he thought of it and knew the aftermath of it. So it is not art if it's not going to be useful.
It is not art if it's not going to be useful.
Exactly.
There are some paintings here. We'll come to those ones.
Sure.
I know they understand them. There are some paintings.
I get it.
Okay. So if it is not going to be useful.
No, it's not art.
Okay, all right, continue.
It's also in the sense where people do say that things that doesn't exist doesn't have name. So far as it has name, then it exists. Now, in this same sense, if the thing as you're creating is not useful, then it's not art. In the other sense, what you see is what someone has created, or what you are even imagined that has not been created is even still considered as cognitive skill. Because just when you are ready to implement it, then it's actually birthed through as art. So art is a process, of expression. Meaning, yes, you've thought about it. You are still down, quiet. It's not art then. But the state and act of which you are in, that one, yes, it's art. Everyone asks you, why are you acting like this? Oh, you act well when you're very cool, when you're very silent. But then in other states of any other people, they would say, you are cool, you are silent, then there should be a problem. Already, someone has thought for you. Someone has actually sat down to think through that, since you're quiet and everything, there's something wrong somewhere, because everyone wants to see others so bubbly each and every time. Now, coming down into our sectors, art is a root to every development.
How?
It is. Now, we had various students from KNUST developing some certain nice infrastructures, bringing in some good, invented some certain machines. Now, let me put into consideration fine arts, where we can equally consider the things as one of these young boys who worked out a car just recently. It's not that cars has not been there. Cars has been there. The reason why he made waves was because of one, age, two, his maybe state as a student, and then the time within that he used in the process to be able to invent the car. But then the thing is that this car, yes, it is in being, or probably it is currently present, but then to other few places, yes, there are other cars being created by other people, but then the whole thing is about design.
Okay.
So that design is what is going to propel you to places. Yes, a lot of things has been invented, I believe, for 2020, when we were actually going through with the COVID. People were now thinking, how are we going to get a submersible water to rather flow that people will not come in and pour water for you, because we were not supposed to get closer to.
Exactly.
And actually 2020, which actually happens to be one of the situations that entire nation, or let me say the entire world, was to a halt, was rather when people actually became more creative. Very creative. Now, in this same sense, the things that birthed out and actually sustained or really did a number of things are the ones which actually had good designs.
Veronica Bucket.
Exactly.
I now get where you are going.
Sure. So the art about the development is not about the aftermath, but the appearance of it. The very first time you enter into a certain boutique is actually because not just that you want to clothe yourself. You didn't enter the boutique because you were naked. You're already wearing a dress, but you thought you need another one. But this is the question. Sometimes I ask people, why do you walk to the filling station that you know that you want to just pick a bottle of water from one of the refrigerators, but yet when you get there, you get to be confused which water to pick. Some people pick maybe Belacqua or any other, not necessarily that it is Belacqua. Sometimes they even want to look at the shape of the bottle. So attraction actually falls so much into art development. And by this, I would actually go ahead by just speaking about Dubai.
Okay.
Development has in the sectors of countries. Now, we look at France, you look at Belgium, you look at all these European countries. One of the things that is actually propelling them, it is simply about art. Their tourism. That is what is keeping people over there.
Yeah.
People go for their weddings, and then at honeymoons, they are thinking of Dubai. Why? Because the place about 18 years ago ended up being actually just with sand.
Yeah. Just a desert.
A desert. And then probably today's, I believe that it is one of the world's most attended places. Each and everyone is just moving to.
Yeah.
Monaco, for instance. Nothing so much special, but then all the rich have now decided that this is the place, not because they decided, but because someone also stood in and said that this is how I want the place to look, and everyone should cohere to it.
Art.
Amazing. Art at play.
Art at play. It's 9:22. Patrick William Dodo is an art therapist, and we're talking art as the root of all development, art, culture, and tourism. Still in this very discussion, one of the things I realize about you is you're into not just one form of art, a number of them.
Yeah.
Let me start with some of the very odd things I've seen you do. That runabout around Electoral Commission,
sure,
where you took car ties and all that. What were you doing in that space? what did you do there?
So I have this wonderful woman, Mrs. Takoba, head of Stratcom Africa.
Stratcom Africa, yeah.
Such a wonderful woman, very creative. We had a very nice meeting. She's very thoughtful about these things and wanted us to create a certain change using flowers or keeping our surroundings very much different. And so we sat down, thought about it, and felt like, okay, it's best for us to just put together the waste and then make it something very much different, because we're getting closer to a program, an annual program, which we call Ghana Garden and Flower Show. And it was so massive that just when we actually did that, it attracted a lot of people, attracted the space where people were always just passing and never regarded that it could be a place for photo shoots. I believe for a fact the time I was actually doing that, I had people, like, even on a Saturday, wedding couples right from the Atlantic Towers who walked straight to the place and used that place for their photo shoots. And there's a question: was that the thought earlier, with that place being the place that they would have actually used? Exactly. And so that is one of the things that came through, but it was actually empowered by Stratcom Africa. I was actually the engineer to it. Also, being that I'm thankful to Madam Esther Koba for the provision of everything. Great thanks to Ghana, Ghana Garden, Parks and Gardens, yes, who also gave the approval for that place too. Because, well, yes, you might have all the ideas. Sometimes you need the heads to also just approve of it. But then right after that, they picked the whole thing, and then it went on with other few places now, using ties for planting, using old wheelbarrows, televisions, and a whole lot.
So everything recyclable is art.
Art.
We've just not been conscious about it.
If it can be used, it's not art.
Wow. Old Wellington boots, people planting
in it. Even jeans that you wear.
Yeah, I've seen jeans. These are all art.
All of them. All of them.
Amazing. Another area that is picking up space, and I realize you've done work in that space, so I need you to help me out here. Still on the topic of art and as the root of all development. Theater arts.
Yes.
You were part of the huge production, the
exactly.
Mansa Musa.
Exactly.
What role did you play, and why is this important as part of development?
I'm the head of set design at Mansa World, headed by the CEO as Chief Momem, and then Yao Into as our CEO currently. So Well, Mansa World has actually been in birth for a very long time after a project that we had called the Wobe Jeke.
Yes, I
Also,
remember
still
Ogechi.
exactly. So, theater arts is one of the most, let me say, I mean, strength that the nation should actually even tap into, and with that effect, I would say that what Chief Momeme is doing is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Not
of
to
course,
actually
of course.
forget about other people like Latif and then my Uncle Ebo White and other few
George
people
Quay and the rest.
and all of them.
Yeah.
Now, the Mansa World side, I happen to be the set designer, like I made mention. I've been a set designer for quite a number of projects. Even not to even forget about Metro TV, the logo itself. I'm the one who designed it, and so with that in terms of design, I've actually worked through. But then we have some set designers as you can only design and not to construct.
Oh, I know. And now it comes to mind that
Yes.
you're also cum carpenter. Yeah,
Sure.
I've seen you in the carpentry mood as well.
So my field is as not just designing. My field is also partaking and getting to be ahead of the constructions to be actually placed. And so sometimes we just do have designers as okay, you only designed, but then on my side I go to the extreme point that okay, I now need to design and then also construct.
What goes into arts helping our tourism space? What should we as a country? So you are the arts folks.
Sure.
We are the country. You are part of us. What should we do to promote tourism using arts? What are
Simple.
the ways we should?
Very simple. What is not attractive is not attended to.
Oh, what is not attractive is not attended to.
Yes.
Meaning,
Dubai made the place very attractive. Everyone is patronizing the place. Not necessarily that they are coming back with money, but then they go and leave the money. In the other sense, should Ghana really think about actually getting to have the sector more, they need to invest on how Ghana looks. First point. The first point is the airport. That's the first entry for each and every one. Or let me just put aside airport. Let us say your house, your own home. For me to just know how good you are and everything, your home alone can actually also speak much about you. How your room is, how your space is. So if my entry point is very devastating, then I should really just be ready to know that then inside of it is not a place that I need to be.
of course.
Exactly. And so if my head as Honorable Mesa would actually get to understand, because currently he is the
Minister of Tourism.
Minister of Tourism, then I believe for a fact that we should actually put in much more effort in probably
What should our airport look like?
it's as well. Let me put
We
it
have
this way.
billboards there. We have artworks there. Companies have.
Billboards are even one of the things I need to really speak much about. Now,
Meaning
it's about time we need to put into consideration where our billboard needs to be and what and how needs to be on it.
what are you saying?
Okay. So, yes, we have advertising companies.
Yes.
Now, who actually gets to monetize on, them based on how they erect it, how big it is, and why it must be that big at this point? Places closer to airports must not have big billboards.
Why? Why?
Security-wise, that is one. Two, yes, billboards should let maybe people coming into the country or people flying out to recognize, because that's what billboards or probably advertising is meant for recognition of products, or probably, let me say, other few, infrastructures or whatsoever the company was actually ready to show out there. But the main thing in here is that no matter how issues are, with these billboards, actually sometimes actually brings down the beauty of some certain infrastructures. It must not be.
The billboards rather become an eyesore.
That's the thing.
Not necessarily. Are you talking the artworks on the billboard?
The
or
size
where
of them.
The sizing.
The sizing of them. Some certain sizes are not necessary at various points. So many of them. I mean, what goes on it is based on what people have paid for. With that one, we cannot dispute the facts. But the sizes of them, and these sizes are actually tending to be issues. You get to getting into Terminal 3 there. We have issues of search, but then who actually gave the approval? Well, I can't actually speak much about that though. But the main thing is that the person has sought for, let me say, a space, paid for it as an agency, yet who actually monetize the size that they are bringing in there. What was spoken about it, all these things. I mean, my space as an artist and then also as an art consultant, I've been through other agencies and I know how they deal with things of such sorts. But then the main thing is that who advises these things. So sometimes I go to the extent of saying that every single institution should have an artist, or let me say a desk for an artist who should, one, ask or probably be the person to instruct the best use of what is going out there. Now, take something like maybe all these agencies, or let me say advertising agencies that are working for the banks and other few things, the designs that are coming out on their social media platforms and other things, who actually gives approvals to all these things. Now, to what we were asking about the airport. Now, the main thing is that it is Ghana. We want to sell Ghana. What do Ghana have? Is it cocoa we always want to show out? Is it kente you always want to show out? What design are we just putting together so much that we know that, okay, this and this is what we are coming to actually view? If it's miniature of the Independence Arc, if it's maybe a certain miniature of some certain tourist site that can be placed for view, for capturing of things, then probably, yes, we are on track. You go to Dubai, get into the entrance alone, you know that, okay, there is this tower here, there is this one there, there is this palm, whatsoever. And then everything has already been spelled out. You already know the city before you enter. Even if you don't get the opportunity to even get to some certain places, you've seen it, not just on the phone, not just on the social media, but then this one, you've seen the miniatures of it and neatly built.
You think as a country, we've not been intentional, that's a key word, about promoting the country as a tourism art venue?
Sure, we've not. We heard of Osu Castle. Even the people in Ghana themselves, how many of them has actually been to Osu Castle? Though it's maybe a security site or any other thing. How is it currently? It's probably deteriorating. We've heard of the various forts and the castles we have over here. Ghana should be one of the most, let me say, patronized place in terms of tourism. Yet, who is actually investing into getting to have all these places look so good? Go to Jamestown. Unfortunately, all these castles are very much close to the sea. And we know what the sea does to most of the rods, or let me say anything related metal. Yet, who is considering the state of these things? The UNESCO has got these places as their, let me say, tourist sites and all that. They are doing so much good.
World Heritage Site.
World Heritage Site.
Asha Fort, James Fort.
Exactly. Now, the main thing is that who is still taking care of these things? Even if private sectors come in and go like, okay, we just want to paint it. It's just white and black. We just want to paint it just so that it will look that much good. Who, again, would even be kept over there to take you around? You go to the such places several times, it's closed down. Kwame Nkrumah Museum just recently let's say refurbished. And
amazing place.
Now look at the outside. Who is actually taking care of all these things? So if we want to have a conscious effort to actually keep things neat, it is just about one of our men always saying that if a man wants to be very much careful, he needs to wear white.
Yeah, Bukombanku.
Well,
a man is never careful unless he's wearing a white shirt and he's driving a new car.
And so that's it.
I get what you're saying.
If we are very much ready to actually get these things done, there are some certain petty things, like our pedestrian walkways, places that needs to be painted. Even these things will bring more employment. All these guys on the roads can be brought in. Okay, we give you a whitewash, paint the side, continue doing it. The consistency of we seeing good color makes a place more lively and attractive. And that is what made me say that if you want things to be attractive, then if you want things to be patronized, make it attractive.
Make it attractive so that it becomes patronized.
Yes.
I sense a bit of frustration in you as an arts person when you're walking around. Probably what I would see and drive by and go on my way. For you as an art person, if it will frustrate you. Am I right?
A lot. A strong artist becomes an artist when he sees things in void and wants to put them in form. Because they pick things from around and then put them together on a one canvas. Pick things around and put them in a space and then makes it actually have sense to visit and then view them. And people like ourselves, when we get to see all these refuge dams and all that, we look at them and go like, okay, so when would maybe the metals be sorted out? Wood sorted out, rubbers sorted out. Meanwhile, all these things can actually have a lot of developmental progress into maybe people's life, because it's all about we getting to survive, yes, and also to actually drift away from poverty. And art is the only thing that can actually push all this.
So I will see a rubbish dump. You see
money.
You see money.
Yes.
You see art. You see stuff that can be done with it.
That's it. That's a whole thing.
Interesting conversation right here on Z in the Morning, and it's with Mr. Patrick William Dodu. Dodu is an art therapist. Mr. William Dodu is an art therapist, and we are talking art as a root of all development. This one is a question someone just sent, and I want to fly that one by. We'll get back into our conversation again. Sure. The artists of old and your generation, who were better?
The old is always the old. That's not in a sense to disrespect them, but then again, everything old is also the roots and the foundation of which the new is actually building on.
Okay.
So to say the better, then I might probably actually respect them, and then also maybe, let me say, look down on my very new ones.
Okay.
But this is the best way I might probably just put it, not to drift away from what you ask.
Yeah.
But then the main thing is that the old has laid foundations upon which we are riding on. Speak about the Professor Glovers. Speak about the Dr. El Anatri, and then all these, great
Those
people.
Those are great folks.
Exactly. And then now coming into our space, myself, Ibrahim Mahama, Seth Clote, Mwakon Boafos, and Amrago Kafuis, let me say Kojo Odoku, very strong people. And then not to even, forget about my educational side, a very strong man I so much respect called Caricature. Exactly, wow. Yes. This man has actually birthed a number of the young ones into the very space of the contemporary art. And I believe that, big shout outs to him at the KNUST. I would say that, yes, that space is well, okay. But then the main thing is that these same old folks are the ones who have actually built the foundations upon which we are also riding. So if there's anything better, I'll give it to the old folks.
Okay. They built and then we are riding on them.
Exactly.
What are the most impressive designs in terms of anything? It could be architecture, it could be monumental. Which are the most impressive designs you've come across as an arts consultant and a therapist?
And would it be as maybe in Ghana?
In Ghana. Let's do within Ghana first.
Okay. Now, I'll pick two.
Wow.
And one of it that people have really not thought much about is in Sekondi.
What is it?
There's a big fish. There's a very big fish, a very nice monument. And at the moment, I'm of the age of 38, going to 39. And so if I actually grew to come and see this fish, whoever that is in Sekondi, or that actually did more of March Pass in Sekondi, will know that that was now the assembling place after the March Pass and all that. That is the place you all go, and then the minister will come, they will share to us some few things. That monument is one of the most let me say, incredible monument based on the fact how it was constructed And then the whole plan, it is very much close to the sea, and it's very, 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 very beautiful. It's something that needs to be worked on. At the moment, it hasn't deteriorated yet, but then I think the few things around it was a fountain, and then now the fountain side is not really working. But it being something very strong of such sorts, yes, I would actually give it to it. The next thing, which I know would always be the Independence Arc. The Independence Arc happens to be one of the let me say the biggest encouragement that I would ever have to pride myself as a Ghanaian. Just like any other person in France who used the Eiffel Tower for the pride to actually show that yes, they are from France, I would use the Independence Square as one of the very most let me say renowned good infrastructure that should be well taken care of and then well shaped, especially the surrounding of it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Guggisberg architecture. Second D Anafu.
Exactly, Anafu.
Amazing. Okay, I'm looking at it. So yes, you can Google it and look at the monument he's talking about. Huge fish that is sitting on. Okay, sure. Interesting.
Very beautiful.
It is. Beautiful. I'm seeing a very beautiful.
Because I mean, any other architecture, let me say, architects out there should really take a very good look at it. Get to have the balance of the fish, the weight of it, and then the shape of it is that even when you get much more closer, you still get to think about its ought and end. Who built it? Who built it?
Who built it? Amazing. Yeah, so we're having a conversation continuing with Mr. Patrick William Dodu on Arts, Culture and Tourism Thursdays, art as the root of all development. As a country that is still in this phase of development, where you have now clearly convinced me, at least myself and some of my listeners, I'm sure you've totally convinced us that art is the way to go. What should art education then be like if art is the way to go for development?
Currently, education is never education if art is not present.
Oh.
Exactly. The main thing is that, like I made mention from the very first start, our root of education has always been on the foundation of art. We all started with crayons. We were all scribbling. Now we moved into the space of controlled scribbling. And when I say controlled scribbling, that is when you go to the toddler's side and you give him or her, let me say a booklet or let me say a book and that of a crayon. They will write and write even on the tables and think they are still within. And so the controlled scribbling now comes in as when you are now scribbling within that book with that confined space, and then to the level at which you now get to, now you start, learning your ABCDs, and now think about when you will actually be able to write within that small, simple 2 lines that is being given to you. Then to another extent of growth, that is when you have a sheet or a jotter which doesn't have lines inside, but you and I know that you've already had a cognitive sense of art which has actually ruled the lines which is not present in the book.
Okay.
So the arts or education is never education if art is not present. And the best means of we getting to talk much about development, art is the only skill that I can actually, let me say, each and everyone can actually put in place for the space of development. That's the only thing.
Without art,
we
can't develop.
No, we can never. Oh. It's a skill. That's a thing. Okay, so from last year, I was in France and had the opportunity to actually move around and then thought through about, okay, if I keep seeing these buildings, 1870 this, 17 this and all that, and I looked at architecture, and one of the questions I asked myself is, are our, let me say, architects now lazy? The reason I asked that was because these buildings are very huge, and with a lot of architraves and other things on the buildings, very detailed hand sculpted works. Yet today we have buildings as straight, as augmented and whatsoever it is. So I asked myself, are our architects lazy?
we that have better technologies
That's the thing.
are building or designing poorer
That-
artworks.
Exactly.
Why?
Well, the main thing is that whenever technology comes into being, laziness falls as the prime.
Technology makes us lazier.
Yes. There's a car, people are now getting to have a lot of hypertension and all that. Why? Because you sit so much, you rely so much on your food and everything, and then the food cannot get to digest so much well, and so it's all still stored in you. But when those times when kids as my age, we were playing chaskele, definitely you play a football. Definitely you actually play some you do some other few things that will actually push even your thoughts of maths and other few things. Today, if you don't get a kid PS4 in the house, he's not playing.
PlayStation 4. He'll say you've not done anything.
That's the thing. They're even fighting to go into maybe a cousin's room or a friend's house because, yes, there will be a PlayStation there.
Do you worry about the future of arts in this country?
So much.
Why?
The space where our tradition means of studies have been thrown away. Now we've moved into a space called the contemporary arts, where maybe others also go in by saying that anything is art. But it's not everything that is art. Art is a process. That's the very first word I would want people to just put themselves in. And one of the places that people are not actually, let me say, on earth so much is what we call time. Time is the best arts device we have in this world. But people have never thought about that. Let us say time, duration, or consider it as space. So the time to do this, the time to do that, the time to do this. Now in the space with even Bible, or let me say in religious side, one of the things I actually spend much time to study, one of the books I spend my time to study is actually in Book of Ecclesiastes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is what really teaches time and then how to do things and when to do it. And so I believe that that is the very biggest arts terrain that people, or let me say industries, will need to actually fetch themselves into. The space at which maybe most developmental sites or maybe a country will put themselves into the space of, let me say, the thought of development through arts would even currently say that, I would say that they need, there is a very strong need for such nations to, or let me say, such leaders to consider artists as part of maybe strong cabinets.
Are you serious?
I am.
That
They need
a president must have someone with an art mind on his cabinet.
exactly
To do what?
to be able to actually draw out the very best of designs that needs to be in existence, not all the time getting to employ. People who are much close to you, listen to them. Unfortunately, for most artists that we have today, what is happening is that someone employs you that he wants to come up with a logo design, but this is what now happens. Because I am holding the money, I call the shots. A designer brings to you 2-3 designs, which he has actually confirmed that this is what needs to actually come out. Now, the person with the money will tell you, I don't like this, I like this. I don't like this, I like this. It's not as in the sense you don't need to choose. But then the thing is that we are getting to fall short of maybe good thought about things. Why? Because
we're not producing enough artists. Or
Well,
we don't respect the
we
ones.
don't respect their thought of designs.
Interesting conversation right here on Z101.9 FM. He says the president should actually consider putting someone with an art mind in his cabinet.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think of that. It's 10 to the top of the hour. We just have 5 minutes of that 10 minutes to go. We would wrap up pretty soon. But I want to ask Mr. Patrick William Dodu, the art therapist, that if we don't do what he is saying, whereby we're not giving artists the green light, or we're not giving them the room to do what they are supposed to do, what does the future of this country look like?
Well, art is the catalyst of knowledge. If in this sense, the if all these things are not being attended to, then we should just think about our GDPs or any other thing we have been fighting towards still depreciating and to depreciate well.
Why?
Well, we are having resources and everything, but yet we don't refine them here. Why? Because it has not been put into form. Remember, I made mention that.
Yes.
So we have gold, but where is it being refined?
And that would have been part of art. If
Exactly.
we had a refinery in Accra or something. And
Exactly.
okay.
We have cocoa, but then yet chocolate well best made outside.
Mhm.
And even our very own, that, let me say, golden tree that needs to really hold its own strength to how many are actually patronizing it. Where's the attraction?
Are you saying value addition to raw material
That's the
also
main thing.
falls under art?
It is the roots of every development. So if the roots is actually broken as its foundation, then the building
Will come down.
Will come down.
Hey. Art are the roots of all development.
Yes.
So value addition. You're saying that moving the cassava into Gary form is art.
It's art and purely art, and not just art as when it gets to that point, but the packaging of it, because the value creation is not the creation alone, but the value creation, it is the use of it.
If it is not useful,
It's not art.
it is not art. Hey, people are around. Recently we've been talking STEM, and this is going to be my final question
Sure.
on this. STEM, science, technology,
Yes.
engineering and mathematics. Then all of a sudden, they said, no, it's not enough. Then they started something called STEM aid.
Yes.
Now science, technology, engineering, maths. Then they say arts.
Exactly.
Arts. How did arts force itself into that thing?
Art never forced itself into. It became STEM aid because they forgot the root of it. And the word has already been created, and so we can only adapt to it and now fall back on it. So that was missing. Yes, science. They created this, they created that, but then someone went on, sat down, placed pen on paper and said that, okay, I want my car to look like this.
Art.
So yes, Benz is producing, they've been producing things that has been moving, but the only means of which people are not going back to buy the vintage cars is only because that the design that has been designed again or currently is more for fitting for safety.
Art.
So the main thing is not about the car moving, it's about the beauty of the car that you're moving with. Why is the president not using Picanto as maybe the car that you use probably around? Because in as much as, yes, it arts, let us also now come back and understand that the foundation of development also now falls on safety. In the other sense, he needs to be more secured. And so in the other sense, a big car like maybe a Nissan, I'm not doing an advert for other cars,
I know.
regardless, what I mean is that, yes, a car like this, a car like that, with this design and all that, would actually get to have its own space of safety. And so, yes, that is what we want for our
And then
president.
that's done by art. Design.
And the reason he needs to have him, artists as part of his cabinet. And that is to each and every president or probably every leader out there should equally also consider it.
So then this goes out to the presidential aspirants of all the major parties.
Exactly.
Mr. Patrick William Dodu, who is an art therapist and he obviously is a consultant in the area of arts and designs in various fields. He's saying that Mr. President to come, whoever is coming, get an arts person in your cabinet to advise on art. All too soon. It's 5 to the top of the hour, so we'll have to wrap up. Any final words before we take leave of you?
Well, it's about time parents. They are the root to each and every family, let me say, growth in the house. And so I would say that it's about time parents would actually invest more on their children's skill. there's something called a gang age, and that is when kids actually gets to start hiding their drawings and say that, oh, okay, I realize that daddy's head is not as big as what I've drawn. And so just when they go in that form, they go into a certain shelter where they feel like, okay, now I will not even draw for me to be laughed at. Now, parents should take into consideration the best of means where they will now put art as one very prime factor to the kids' education. And that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick William Dodu. He's an art therapist. You heard from him saying a lot of stuff. We'll be coming back to touch on some of these things later as the days and the weeks go by. But it's been quite insightful. All too soon, we have to sign off. And I won't sign off without saying what I would say. Pray like it only depends on God, but go work like it only depends on you. Thank you, people, and let's have a good one. We'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day.